there, y'all. I'm Avery, and today I've got 7 healthy dinner ideas for you. These are the dinners that we had this past week with the groceries from my last grocery haul. And we don't follow any specific diet, but we do try to eat 2 seafood meals a week and 1 vegetarian meal a week. And we also have a starter salad every night, so you'll see that as we go through the video. I will link all of the recipes that I used in the description box below. And I really hope you enjoyed this video and get some good ideas for your household. And let me show you what we had for dinner this week. I was going to show y'all how I do my vegetable broth. I'm sure a lot of people know this, but I wasn't doing this. And once I realized this, I felt pretty dumb. So to just make your own vegetable broth at home, all you have to do is take the extra scraps of vegetables you have. And I just put mine into a Ziploc bag in the freezer. Just onions, celery, carrots, any herbs, the stems of mushrooms, zucchini, just anything you have left over. And then all you have to do is put it in a pot. All I'm gonna do is fill this with water, add some salt and pepper, bring it to a boil, put a lid on it, and then reduce the heat down to low or medium low and let it simmer for about an hour, and then just strain out the vegetables, and then I'll have the broth. And we like to have that just by itself or mixed with chicken bone broth or beef bone broth, or like tonight I'm going to use it in the pasta we're making. So that's a good way to save money, so you don't have to buy the vegetable broth out of the store. So here I've got my mussels and clams in some water. It's kind of funny, the little bubbles. So I'm gonna let them sit for about 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna take the water out, scrub them down, refill the water, and let them sit for another 15 minutes. And then any that are open, I'm just gonna throw away, and then I'll be ready to cook them. I'm boiling up about half the mussels here. I did the other half first just to make sure I knew what I was doing. And I'm not following the recipe exactly because I wanted to cook these separately just because that makes it a little easier for me. And I'm already starting to see some of these are opening up. So once they're fully open, then I will remove them, and then I'll put the clams in. Well, here's what we ended up with. We did lose a few soldiers, but that's okay. I bulked up our salads tonight because I wasn't sure how filling the pasta with mussels and clams would be. So I've got radish, cucumber, carrot, celery, some Colby Jack cheese, a little bit of guacamole, and some toasted almonds. Here's the finished pasta. This recipe is from Giada De Laurentiis, and I took them out of the shells just to make it easier for us, and then just left 1 clam and 1 mussel for decorative purposes. Tonight for our starter salad, we are having a plum and fennel salad from Country Living. I am just pickling some red onions in the champagne vinegar that we got this week. This is my first time trying this, and I only used half of the sugar that the recipe called for, and I will post the link below. Before I assemble our starter salad for tonight, I just wanted to take a second to appreciate how pretty all these ingredients are. The butter lettuce is like the prettiest green color. The pickled red onions are like a pretty pink hue. We've got the white fennel, the fennel prawns, and then the plum, and this plum tastes amazing. So pretty too. Tonight for dinner we are having Thai chicken pizza, and I'm going to start by making the Thai peanut sauce. It's a mixture of, it's mostly peanut butter, and then some tamari soy sauce, rice vinegar, maple syrup, red pepper flakes, and some ginger. And then I also have some chicken breasts, and I'm preheating the oven to 425, and I'm going to cook these until they reach 160 degrees with a probe thermometer. For the Thai chicken pizza, I'm going to start by taking the Banza pizza crust, and we're making 2 of these pizzas, and on the crust I've put the Thai peanut sauce that I made, and I topped it with chicken, and I've got half the cheese on just so you could see the other side. I'm going to put the rest of the cheese on, put it on a preheated pizza stone, and cook it for about 11 to 12 minutes. Then once that's done, I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to top it with carrots, green onion, bean sprouts, peanuts, and cilantro. And then I'm going to put it back in for like 3 to 4 minutes, top with some crushed red pepper, and we're ready to eat. Here are our completed salads. The camera kind of doesn't do them justice. They're the prettiest colors, and I will let you know how they taste. This is the Thai chicken pizza after we finished cooking it with the toppings on. Cilantro is on my side only. We're gonna slice it up and serve. Here's the Thai chicken pizza once we've cut into it. To make a quick homemade salsa, I've got fire roasted tomatoes, red onion, green onion, garlic, jalapeno, cumin, and salt in a blender. I'm going to pulse it in 10-second increments until it reaches the desired consistency. You can also add cilantro to this, but one of our people in our house doesn't like cilantro, so. I have most of the ingredients prepped for the huevos rancheros tonight. I made some refried beans and put those on top of a corn tortilla and topped it with some Colby Jack cheese. I'm about to fry up some eggs, and then we've got green onion and cilantro because my boyfriend doesn't like cilantro, so I'm gonna add his green onion to the pico de gallo that I made with tomatoes, onions, and lime juice. And then I also have the salsa that I showed you earlier how I made it, and then some avocados that I'm gonna slice up and put on top. Eggs are frying up, almost ready to eat. We are having the same starter salad as last night, and I definitely remembered why I liked plums so much as a kid. Here are huevos rancheros for tonight. We have the tortilla, beans, salsa, egg, pico de gallo, avocado, and cilantro. Tonight's dinner is going to be a little bit of work, and I'm hoping that it's going to be worth it because my boyfriend is not too excited about what we're having for dinner tonight. So we're going to have chicken kebabs, and on the side we're going to have zucchini fritters. He does not like zucchini, so I'm hoping he's gonna like this because I really like zucchini and I want to be able to eat it more. So I grated up 2 large zucchinis into this bowl, and I have some salt in there to sweat it out. Once that happens, I'm gonna actually have to strain it through this nut milk bag to get as much moisture out as possible. Then I'll mix it with almond flour and some diced up shallots, goat cheese, and 2 eggs. And that's going to make the base of the zucchini fritter, and I'm going to cook those up in the pan and have a side dipping sauce, which is going to be Greek yogurt with green onions and some garlic, salt, and pepper. So I will show you once I have the patties. Grilling some veggie skewers. We're gonna have skewers of chicken and veggies. I just did them separate to make it easier. We are having a pretty basic salad tonight. Added a little guac and some sunflower seeds. This is the final product. We've got the chicken and veggie skewers, the zucchini fritters, and the yogurt sauce. Tonight we're having pork meatball soup for dinner. I love it because it's low carb and it has a lot of veggies in it. So I'm gonna use this red and yellow onion. I had about a quarter-ish left of each. All of this celery, 2 carrots, red bell pepper, 2 zucchini, about half of that head of cauliflower, and all the mushrooms. Typically we'll buy the brown mushrooms, but they were out this week. Then I'm going to make some meatballs out of ground pork and some almond flour. And then also in the soup, we're gonna have some fresh rosemary, the rind from this Parmesan cheese, a little bit of tomato paste, and then the broth. The recipe calls for beef broth, beef bone broth. And so this is pretty expensive. So I'm gonna use that, and then I'm gonna supplement the rest with the homemade veggie broth that I made. So I will show you when I get to the next step, But this recipe always turns out really good, and I'm super excited for tonight. Took a minute, but I finally got all the veggies chopped up, and as you can see, it's a lot of vegetables. I'm preheating some avocado oil, and I'm gonna really cook these down for probably 20 to 30 minutes with a little bit of salt and pepper. Then I'll add the tomato paste and the parm rind, and then I will make the meatballs in the meantime. I added the broth, Parmesan rind, and fresh rosemary to the pot and let it simmer covered for about 30 minutes. Here's how it looks like now. And I have these mini meatballs that I made from the pork, and I'm just gonna put those in on low heat, uncovered for 10 minutes, and then we'll be ready to eat. I wanted our starter salads to have different veggies than the soup has, so I used mixed greens, broccoli, radish, cucumber, topped it with some feta cheese and sliced almonds. Here are the finished meatball and veggie soups. I'm starting off dinner tonight by making some quinoa. I put some avocado oil and garlic into the pan, then turn the meat to medium-low, and I've been letting it infuse the garlic into the oil here for a minute. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take a little bit of this turmeric. You don't want too much because it can taste bitter. I want a decent amount for the health benefits. There we go. And this stuff stains, so be careful. Probably what? Add a little bit more. That looks good. And then a little bit of cumin. I make this pretty much the same. This is pretty much exactly what I do to make rice as well. With rice, I normally don't add the spices, but the process is the same. Just gonna get that toasty here for a minute. And then I've drained and I've rinsed and then drained and then dried my quinoa, which I'm going to put in here as well. I'm doing 3/4 of a cup. This is going to be just for me. My boyfriend's going to have lentils. And I'm going to toast that as well. Here for a few minutes. And once I can kind of smell that it has cooked long enough, I'm going to add double the amount of water. So I used 3/4 cup of quinoa. I'm going to add a 1.5 cups of water, bring it to a boil, cover it, let it cook for 15 minutes on low heat, then let it rest, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So I just finished cooking the quinoa, and I forgot to mention that once it came up to a boil, I also added a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and some pepper. Here's how the quinoa looks like now that it's cooked. I tasted it and it's really good. Now the next step is that I've rinsed these lentils, and the story here is that my boyfriend does not like quinoa and lentils do not agree with me. So whenever we want to have one of these, I make the quinoa for me and the lentils for him, and it really doesn't take that much time. It's mainly just sitting on the stove cooking, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to cook these exactly according to the package instructions. 4 cups of water, bring to a boil. The only thing I'm going to do different is that in the last couple minutes of cooking, I'm going to add a little bit of salt just to give it a little extra flavor. Wow, y'all, so I just realized what I thought were the cooking instructions for the lentils actually weren't the cooking instructions. The cooking instructions are up here. So thank goodness I saw that. I just skimmed out some water and I will adjust accordingly. While my lentils are cooking, I've got some avocado oil preheating on medium-high. For our ground beef Mediterranean stir fry tonight, the vegetables are going to be this red bell pepper, tomatoes, garlic, green onion, and lots of spinach. My first step is going to be adding the tomato and bell pepper to the pan and cooking for about 4 to 5 minutes. Then I'll add the garlic for a minute. Then I'll add the spinach and white parts of the green onions, then set the cooked veggies aside to move on to the next step. So I'll show you when I'm there.
So here's what it looks like after you just put 8 ounces of spinach in it. Let's see if I can very carefully stir this. Voila.
Tonight, instead of our usual starter salad, we're gonna start off with some of the veggie broth that I made, and we're gonna mix it with some chicken bone broth. And the reason for that is that mixed together, they taste better than either one does individually. Also, bone broth has a lot of health benefits like anti-aging, bone support, immune function, and it helps support joint health, which is important because I have arthritis. And to top those off, I'm going to use some of this nutritional yeast, aka the Vegan's Parmesan. It has a host of B vitamins and adds a cheesy flavor. Looks like fish food. Here are the completed ground beef stir fries. I just cooked up some ground beef and added that to the vegetables I showed you earlier. Topped it with some feta. The left side is the quinoa and the right side is the lentils. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Tonight we're having tuna meatballs for dinner. What I've done is added some sauteed onion, garlic, and spinach to a bowl, along with a tablespoon of Greek yogurt, some almond flour, and some parsley and dill, and a little bit of lemon juice. I'm gonna add 2 beaten eggs and 3 cans of drained tuna and some salt and pepper and form that into 20 meatballs. I just took the tuna meatballs out of the oven. They cooked at 400 for 20 minutes, and here's how they look like. Now I'm going to cook our potato wedges. I've just sliced up some russet potato and topped with avocado oil, paprika, salt, garlic powder, and some nutritional yeast. And I'm going to cook that skin side down for 45 minutes in the oven at 400 degrees. I wanted to show y'all a way that I like to cook my broccoli and cauliflower, and sometimes I'll use carrots too. And the way that I'll do this is I just preheat a pan on medium-high with just a touch of avocado oil. Then I add the cauliflower and I let it cook for about 2 minutes without touching it. Then I'll rotate it, which I just did, and let it cook for another about a minute. And then I'm gonna add in the broccoli and let that cook for 2 minutes untouched. Once that's done, I'm gonna add a little bit, like a few tablespoons of vegetable broth and some Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. Cover it with the lid and let it cook for about 3 minutes until it gets to the tenderness that you like. So I will show you once I'm there. So here's what it looks like once it's done, and I'm gonna add in some butter, and I'm going to add in some lemon juice. Stir that up and it's ready to go. This is a good way to do it if you already have a pan dirty and you don't want to get out a steamer basket and all that. So I like to do it this way sometimes, and it just has a little bit of a different flavor than roasting or just using a regular steamer. So this is a good way to switch it up if you don't normally do this. We're having a smaller salad tonight since there's a lot of components to our main meal. It's just some spinach with cucumber, tomatoes, toasted almonds, and red onion, and an apple cider vinaigrette. Here's our completed dinner. We have the tuna meatballs with the Greek yogurt dipping sauce, cauliflower and broccoli, potato wedges, and some ketchup. If you want to see how I make that ketchup, you can watch my last dinner ideas video where I explain how I do that. That's everything that we had this week. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a comment, and I hope you have a wonderful day.